All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the June 3rd school committee meeting. Call the meeting to order with a roll call vote. We'll begin with Ms. Leskey,
Present.
Ms. Saidi,
Present.
Mr. McClellan. Present. Mr. Dial will be here momentarily. Mr. Evans, Corey Evans, here as well. Invite everybody to please join me. Pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God,
indivisible, with liberty, justice.
All right, as always, we will begin our meeting with space for public comment. If there's anyone that is online that wishes to make a public comment, please raise your hand and we will promote you to listen to it. As well, if you're in the audience here tonight for a public comment, please just raise your hand now so I can flag you and bring you up. Before we begin, I do want to remind everybody that we are both in person here at the high school in the Learning Commons as well as on Zoom. This meeting is being broadcast on Cohasset 143 TV on the educational channel and is also being live streamed to Facebook on the Cohasset live streaming page. It's also being recorded and can be viewed later on the Cohasset YouTube page. Not seeing any public comment in the room and not seeing anybody online, we will close public comment for the evening and move on to our invited guests. Recognition of our retirees. Dr. Shannon, please.
So with the end of the year comes celebrations and sometimes some sadness. And I would say everything that is about to follow is very bittersweet. We have some amazing educators who have dedicated years and years of service to the Cohasset Public Schools. They have left a mark. They have left a legacy. And while I am so excited for each of them to move into this next phase of their life, and many have plans and trips and things that they want to do, they haven't had time to do, it's also very sad for us because we're losing some amazing educators, many of whom my own children have had and will have amazing memories forever because of these educators. And so we wanted to celebrate them tonight. I think they're being celebrated a bit along the way, but we want to celebrate them tonight just a little bit. Mention who they all are, introduce them all, present them with a small token, just a bouquet of some flowers. And then at the end, we would love to take a picture with everybody with the school committee as well. So not all were able to attend, but I am going to share everybody. So first we have Susan Ahern, who has been an ESP in her district for a very long time. She was at Deer Hill and she will be retiring or has retired. Not able to join us tonight, but Nurse Judy Collins is here with us. Judy has been, But I nursed at the high school for so long that I'm not sure anyone is gonna know what to do without her. I think she knows every child in the district and all of their health issues for good or for bad. So, you know, we all have doctors on our own, but Nurse Collins knows every one of our kids. So we wish her well. Jen Gallagher. Come on up. Jen is the ESP who runs the library at Deer Hill. And so we are just so grateful for the years that Jen has spent working at Deer Hill, sort of fostering this love of learning and love of reading for our students. And again, every student who comes through the Cohasset schools spends time in that library. And so thank you for all that you do. Margaret Holland. Ms. Holland has been a grade 3 teacher at Deer Hill for many, many years and has had many students come through. I think I saw somewhere your love of seeing students as they come back as adults
Yes.
and how exciting that is. And the good news is, even though you're retiring, you're still here in town.
Yep.
And so people will still be able to see you and still be able to appreciate their friendships with you and the long lasting memories that you are leaving behind. Not here with us tonight, but Teddy Holland has retired. So not related, I don't think, to Miss Holland. But yeah. Teddy was the head custodian at Osgood for years and years and years. And I don't know that there's anyone who goes through Osgood who doesn't know Teddy, who didn't see his smile and his love of children and his love of his job. And so we are grateful for all that he gave to the district. Michelle Joyce. So speaking of Osgood, Michelle has welcomed our youngest students to the district for years and just sort of ushered them into who Cohasset is and welcomed families. And you've been their first introduction. And we are so grateful that that is what they had to experience when they came. And we will miss you, and those new families will miss you. So thank you for everything that you've done. Kate McInerney, Ms. Mac. Kate has taught high school math for many years here. Any student who has taken AP Calculus has gone through her class. So highest levels of math, and her passion for math is only equal to her passion for students and helping them figure out who they want to be and how they come together as a community. And so we're grateful for all that you've done and wish you well in your next adventures. Karen McGinnis. So Karen has been an English teacher at the high school, but also the department head for English. And so she has led sort of the coursework and the direction of the English department for some time. And I think that our students are all better for her leadership and the work that she does within her own classroom. So many, many years ago, Karen and I were connected. She came to teaching and was the long-term sub when I had my oldest son and went on maternity leave. And so the fact that you're retiring says a lot about how old I am now. But it's just been wonderful, just on a personal note, to be able to come back together and close that circle and be with you at the beginning and the end. So thank you.
Thank you.
Not with us this evening is Nora Resendiz. She has been a bus driver for the district and is retiring. And while our teachers make magic happen in the room, our bus drivers are the people who see our students very first thing in the morning and at the very end of every day. And they make the bus ride not only safe, but an enjoyable experience. And so we thank them for all that they do, because I think being a bus driver is one of the hardest jobs in any district. So we wish her well. Ross Sears. So Mr. Sears is a science teacher at the high school and has been for many years. He's taught all over the place, including overseas. But his care for kids extends beyond the classroom and beyond science. He supports and helps run the Model UN program and can be found supporting kids in anything they want to do beyond science, AP Physics, AP chemistry, all of those things. And so we thank you and we look forward to you staying connected with the district beyond this year and have high expectations that we will continue to see you. Ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, so similarly, Meg often welcomes many families into the district. She welcomed my youngest son into the district. As a kindergarten teacher, there's just no better experience for a child or a family than to have you as a teacher. So, thank you. We appreciate all that you do, and I can't say anything else because Ms. Schwartz, Laura Schwartz. Yeah, this is harder than I thought it would be. So Laura has taught middle school art for many, many years in the district. She instills a love of art and creativity in kids and helps them find some passions that they didn't know that they had. So we thank you for that. Oh, stop.
I get to parse this out next time.
I know. Or at least no tissues. Eileen Weisinger. So Eileen has been teaching sixth grade social studies for a very long time here in Cohasset. She has been ahead of the curve and she's brought fun, exciting experiences to students and trying new things she brought Minecraft into the classroom when Minecraft was all kids could think about. And it works and they learn their social studies and their geography because of it. And so we thank you for your dedication and for always trying something new and wish you well in Florida. And also not with us tonight is Sandra Zappolo, who is a bus driver. We thank her for her years of service as well. And so I don't think I missed. We just have extra flowers. Did I miss anything? Okay, so congratulations to all of you. We know that the year is not over and that you are still teaching, but we wanted to just thank you for everything that you've done for all of the students and all of the families in Cohasset, and we will miss you. Okay, so you could all come together so we can take a picture. To the folks at home, just give us one moment. You want to do it here or do you want to do it very much? Here. Yeah, there's nothing really on the wall. School committee members want to join?
A lot of people.
Or it's not a choice.
It sounds like a choice.
It's not a choice.
So it's like when I say to the kids,
Let's go.
I didn't realize, it's just a question. That's okay, but you definitely need to give them their.
That's a little lot. I think you should. Oh.
It's like engineering school.
Okay. And one. Okay, now school committee, hop on in there.
We do that.
We're gonna need to maybe come over here by. Okay, that's actually what else. All right, everybody. 1, 2, 3. Excellent. All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you. I would bring it back. Thank you. That was so tough.
So I think I blinked. I don't know if we wanna, I think I blinked. I'm kidding.
We're gonna go with it. It was really right.
Just one more minute. We'll let the thing calm down a little bit before we continue. That way everyone at home can hear us better. Anything else from you?
No.
Safe Harbor, you wouldn't mind coming up? Come on down.
Gonna be a tough act to follow.
There will be less crime.
Maybe.
Bit more cheered. Bring up.
Yeah.
Never know, it's school committee.
All right, so
Kinds of emotions.
we are now joined by the students of Safe Harbor. Talk about the Cohasset Minds Matter program. Do you have a slide?
I'm gonna put it up. I didn't know if you guys wanted to introduce yourselves before I.
Sounds good.
Sure.
I'm Sari Reyes. I'm a junior at Cohasset High School. I've been with Safe Harbor for I think 6 years now. 6 years now. So it's been a while, and I've been a leader for 4 of those years. Hi, I'm Dominique Vecchiola. I'm a sophomore at Cohasset High School, and I've been with Safe Harbor for 5 years, and I'm a senior leader.
My name is Aaron Teriyaki. I'm currently a junior at Cohasset High School, and I've been with Safe Harbor for around 4 years, and I'm currently a youth leader.
I'm Cassie Arocho. I'm a junior at Situate High School. I've been with Safe Harbor for 2 years, and this is my first year as a leader.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Great. Let me go into present mode for you. And you, if you, just want to tell me when you're ready for me to share or switch sides, I could do that.
Sure.
Play from start.
We're going to be presenting about Cohasset Minds Matter today.
All right, so this is our mission statement, which is that the Cohasset Youth Ambassadors Program seeks to empower youth by raising awareness and educating the community about mental health and substance use. Through these community events and leadership development, we provide resources and students are prepared to face life's challenges, whether that be things regarding substance use, mental health, or any other thing that could rise their life.
So then we have what is CMM Day. This was put on very recently, I think last week for those of you who were there. But for those who weren't, it was a mental health awareness event centered around giving middle and high schoolers a chance to spend some time outside, look for mental health resources, and discover new coping skills. So everyone got to go outside and just have a little break from school. So we had a bunch of different stations for the students to go to. A couple popular ones that we have annually are the yoga, therapy animals. We had a therapy chicken, which is very popular. Our school counselors usually set up the table as well for the children, for the students. We have snacks, we have coloring. This year we had bracelet making, which was equally frustrating, but also really therapeutic. We had yard games, which also serve as a very therapeutic thing, I guess, for those who want to take out their aggression. We have Plymouth County Suicide Prevention. We work with a lot of other coalitions nearby to sort of continue to spread our message. And then every year we have some sort of treat for the students. So last year we had Donuts, and this year we have Lolly Jolly Waffles ice cream truck. So it's kind of like ice cream and a waffle. Best of both worlds.
Seems delicious.
Why we do CMM? CMM allows classes students to take a break from stressful classes. It also serves as a time to socialize and participate in activities. It also helps students visit and educate students on emotional well-being and have the chance to get free prizes.
So every year, students take a survey basically at CMM that go over different factors like stress levels and how they feel about certain things in the school system. And here we can see that the ratio of whether students describe their stress levels as high or low throughout the school year. And here we can see that 28.6% describe it as high, 36.6% or the most describe it as moderate. And then we have a significant portion that say it's very high, which is 19.2%. And then we have 14.1% that say it's low.
And then for the next one, we said, how supported do you feel by your school when it comes to your mental health? We all know this is a very high stress environment and it's very competitive. So most students reported that they felt either supported or neutral, which was some positive feedback. There was only about 13.6% who said that they felt unsupported by the school.
Another one of our questions was what situations would most likely lead people to need a mental health day? Once again, as Dominique mentioned, it's a very high stress environment. So we found that the most common ones were high academic stress, feeling emotionally overwhelmed, usually due to academic stress or workload, lack of sleep, also oftentimes due to high academic stress, burnout, and anxiety or panic symptoms. I also know that sports tends to be a stressor for a lot of people. A lot of people get tired. After a long day of school, they have hours of practice.
We also asked what types of support would help you better manage stress during the school year. And most students often requested academic flexibility and access to mental health support to help manage their stress. The number one requested thing was excused absence for mental health days, better coordination of major tests and projects, more flexibility with deadlines, opportunities for breaks or rest time during the school day, and greater access to counseling support and services.
This question went over how helpful we thought today's school-wide mental health wellness day or CMM day is for students, and they viewed it very positively. You can see that around 34.6% found it very helpful, 31.8% finding it moderately helpful, but we had over a quarter find it extremely helpful, which is great.
And it was short but sweet. Is there any questions about what we did or anything about the survey results?
If I could jump in for 1 minute, I think another thing to be aware of is that a few of the students who are in front of you today have had conversations with myself and Principal Scott about some of this data and how we can continue to support students in mental health, and had conversations about excused or unexcused absences from mental health. And we're having ongoing conversations because there's some, rules with the Department of Ed and the law around absences and what can be excused and what can't be. And we want to be able to work with students that if they are struggling with academically or with school or feeling stressed, how do we not just give days, but actually give support differently? So it's an ongoing conversation, and we appreciate the fact that Safe Harbor students are bringing this forward because it's an important thing for us to figure out what the right balance is for our kids.
Thank you, guys. Nice job. Questions, comments from the committee? Ask it well.
Excellent presentation. My son is part of Safe Harbor. Yes, Joe, everywhere. Anyway, I very much appreciate the organization and what you guys do. I guess in this particular thing, is there anything that you found that surprised you as you're thinking about it, that you're like, even though you are students and you live the life, but any results that you thought were notable or interesting or unexpected?
I would say that looking at the results, they were as expected because, as mentioned again, this is a very high stress, competitive area. But we also to mention the middle school because CMM is part high school and middle school throughout the day. We had the middle schoolers talk with a speaker, Kevin Rosario, who's been involved with Safe Harbor a lot over the years. And we saw that they were very receptive to what he was talking about. And I know that speakers kind of have a little bit of a stigma, especially with students, like who's going to sit there for 40 minutes and listen to a grown man talk. But we found, respectfully. But we found that they were very receptive to it and that I guess maybe his strategies worked very well. The high school tended to like him as well. I know that the seniors talked with him earlier this year, I believe. So I was definitely surprised to see how well the students handled the speakers and how much they liked them.
I would agree with that. I think the results of the survey have matched the other results we've done, like the YRBS earlier in the year, and it all seems to align. So it's just a common theme throughout every time we've asked the student body.
Thank you.
As students, I'm not sure, I guess I'm maybe asking you to speak from your own perspectives. Do you feel as if students are competing with each other or are feeling like the expectations that are being placed on them, either internally or externally, whether implicit or explicit, are driving that feeling of pressure?
I would say it's a lot of both. Cohasset kind of has a higher standard when it comes to your course load. A lot of people take an average, probably 2 to 3 AP classes every year, which is unheard of in other districts. I mean, part of it is obviously our staff body is really strong. Like we have great teachers and they usually create pretty good courses. So I like to think that interest plays a role in it. But in the end of the day, I think from a student's perspective that it's more of, well, I actually don't know. Because I think they are competitive with other people, but in the end, it's just they want to, it's a mixture of wanting to better themselves and compete with the other people. I know other grades, my grade particularly, is not as competitive when it comes to that stuff, but I know in prior years we had like co-valedictorians and super competitive spots for number one.
I think this is kind of seconding Sari's point. I think it is a lot of both. My grade has been known to be a little competitive, especially with academics, if you compare the scores to other grades. And it also is just the pressure of like, it would look good to be valedictorian on college. So you're just competing with everyone else and everyone's the conversation about like, what did you get after a test is always there. So I think it's definitely both because people are competing with their peers, but also they feel like they need the competition to be the best and to get into college and to have really stacked resumes.
Thank you very much. And thanks for leading Safe Harbor. It's an amazing program, and the fact that you guys have taken time to steer the ship says a lot. So thank you guys. Anything else from anybody else on this?
I was at the event and everyone was super excited about it. I could see that there was a lot of enthusiasm and everyone was having a lot of fun, a lot of good energy. You know, being exposed to some really important concepts. You guys should be really proud of yourselves. We're very proud of you, what you do for the school, for your peers. So thanks for doing that. My question was primarily what Dr. Shan had pointed out is sort of in the works is you know, do you guys see any envision any particular solutions to any of these or some programs, not days off, but you know, some sort of supportive programming that we could offer. But it sounds like that I don't want to put you guys in the spot on that. It sounds like those conversations are happening. Perhaps you can come back once they have happened or let us know what you know the suggestions were and what how you guys came out. I imagine that you know Mr. Scott and maybe Mr. Mills are involved in that conversations as well. And I don't know, I mean not Mr. Mills. I was wondering why. Yes, no disrespect to Mr. Scott Blake. We love Mr. Scott Blake. But please do come in because it's enormously important for you pointing out. You know, it is stressful, and I know that we've been trying to look at that and figure out how we can mitigate some of that stress for students, you know? You guys are young, your whole lives, maybe your whole lives we work, stressed out about work and raising kids and all of that. So you don't need to be stressed out about, you know, AP US history or something like that. So let's try and figure out a way to, oh no, I didn't mention of it. God, sorry for bringing it up.
Sophomore trauma.
Oh, I'm so sorry. So thank you guys so much for everything you do. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Great.
All right, next up, we've got, we're going to review the school improvement plans. We'll start with Principal Gaudette and Osgood.
But you know we come as a package, right?
Yeah.
And then I'll invite at the same time.
Yeah.
They like to come up together.
Principal Sullivan at the same time.
Thank you. So they will be sharing their presentation. You have their end of year report and you have their new SIPs. Both are in your packets. Their presentation sort of shares both, the highlights from both. And at the end, we'll be asking you to actually vote their SIPs. We were, my fault, remiss in not voting the middle school and high school last time. So we can do one of two things. We can either vote all four at the same time, or we can do the high school and middle school one next week because they're coming back for handbooks anyway. That was sort of what our plan was, but you can make a decision. So I'm gonna share. Chairman. It was my fault. It was not the chairs.
No, it was Greg's fault.
It was the chair. I think it was me.
Chair's fault.
It was the acting chair, let's be clear.
Okay,
Firing.
so, all right.
While we're pulling up the presentation, I'd just like to make sure and take a moment to thank the school council members. On our school council, we have Corey Evans as our liaison, and we have three parents, Laura Gaskins, Liz Brannon, and Susanna Arevalo, and staff members Kaylee Schneider and Beth Rickey. And all of those folks have had some really rich conversations on so many different topics over the course of the year as we've revisited our goals along the year. So thanks. I got you. So I like to start these presentations by kind of setting the stage. Mine starts with a bunch of photographs so that you can kind of get yourself there at Osgood and see the kinds of things that are happening in service of our goals. Some of the highlights around student, family, and community engagement include our family picnic in the summer, our winter concerts. This year we engaged a green team of parents, and they have helped with not only our gardening, we got new garden boxes from Holly Hill, but not only that programming, but also they come to the front of the school and beautify it for us. You also see our art night and family math night, as well as the fun run. They're at the beginning of the school year. Some highlights around professional development. So this year, we have done some team building activities really with our working groups, as well as with our staff as a whole. We intentionally moved some of our social time to right before staff meetings, because what was happening was we were having breakfast and people weren't able to make it. So they would go grab food and not spend time with folks. So we're being really intentional as part of our belonging working group in how we crafted time together as a staff. There's some evidence there of time we got together as part of professional development. Both the art projects on the top left, which were part of our professional development day with the district, and our shared staff meeting with Deer Hill. That was a really important opportunity, and we'll talk a little bit more about that when we look at the work that we did. We, as a staff, focused a lot on social emotional wellness of students and staff, again, as part of our belonging group, but also as part of building school culture. So as someone who's new to a school, really kind of crafting that opportunity to have people come together has been really important. The top left is our second graders. One of the assemblies that they planned and presented, we came to school committee a little bit ago to share a little bit of that work. But also you see community time, you see the kids out playing in the snow, which for me, a California girl, it's a really cool opportunity to see that happening. We had this year for our fundraiser, our Fun Run fundraiser, we did some incentives just as Deer Hill did. So there's a little pie in the face action there, and we had a masked singer or masked reader assembly that was planned as part of our belonging working group as well. So that was one of the things that we did bring in this year, was having those school-wide assemblies. Our belonging working group really felt like it was important to get the whole school together, not just to talk about rules and expectations and those kinds of things, but also to have a little bit of fun together and build community. We have a number of significant community partnerships with Holly Hill, with the police department you see on the bottom, where they did Toys for Tots with us. The Art Collab is there. There have been so many opportunities, and I feel like we continue to build as a school community those opportunities for kiddos from other schools to come over and for us to do the same. So that opportunity is fantastic when we have such a small community. You see the high school there for their high school winter concert, and also the holiday. I believe that one's from the holiday boutique at the beginning, during the holiday time, and the high school kids come over. It's the most remarkable thing because the high school kids know so many of our students, and so it's instant when they come. They just connect instantly. It's really fun. My favorite part, just total side note, but my favorite part about the concert was we had a couple of football players in the front with their Cohasset spirit wear in the front of the chorus group. And I just was like, this is amazing for kids to see. This is the variety of things that you can do when you get to high school, and it is all wonderful. So I love that opportunity. I thought that was fun. And just to set the stage a little bit further, we see a little bit of Mrs. Dimity's work with her green screen activities. You may have seen in the past some pictures with Dr. Scollins and Dr. Shannon with the Barnyard Babies that my friend Axel there is holding. It's one of our beloved kindergarten events. We also partner, PSO has been our biggest cheerleaders in terms of providing some enrichment activities such as STEM week, which you'll see on the top right. We held that last month, and some really cool assembly opportunities. The one on the bottom right was a taiko drum assembly that was awesome. And Liz Deininger last year came up with the fantastic idea to do an election day. So we continued that this year around election day time, and the students remarkably voted for community time. So we had things like pajama day and extra recess. They voted for community time, which meant that they were really hungry for time with other kids and other classes. And so we just had a lovely community time that was it was based around play, kids playing together across classrooms. So that's a very quick summary of our goals. I'll dive in a little bit deeper to what our goals were. The first one was around multi-tiered systems of support, both for academics and behavior. We had working groups for each of those. They were separate working groups intentionally, and working groups being those times when staff members got to pick a topic that they wanted to dive deeply into, and during our professional development days, they had time to research. Most of our working groups were really around researching and finding ways to improve our current practices. And then we'll be implementing some of that work in the coming year. And you'll see that in our still to do and our new goals piece of the presentation. But we examined current practices for multi-tiered systems of support, not just what that looks like at Osgood, but also what are some of the systems, for example, the student response team. What are the systems in place that are working? What's not working? What do we need to improve? And we have some actionable improvements recommended out of that working group. We also had a working group for behavior. So just as we support students' academic achievement, we want to make sure, especially at these earliest years, that we are supporting all of their behavior. So you'll see a little bit later too, as we talk about next year's goals, how we might do that from a social emotional standpoint. But this work was focused a lot around PBIS, so positive behavior intervention supports. So big idea, making sure kids understand what the expectations are in every area of the school and how do we facilitate that. So my last year we developed a matrix for what the expectations are. This year they planned a kickoff for next year so that we can have in every area of the school visuals for kiddos, as well as doing a kickoff so that kids remember, and then also probably mid-year, again, remembering what those expectations are in every area of the school. We also, one of the assemblies that kiddos planned and presented, it was the picture on the top left, was around school-wide expectations. So they did receive something from me at the beginning of the year. However, I think they had a little bit more fun when the kids presented it. So still to do for MTSS, we do need to deploy some of the recommendations that the working groups made, such as updating our documentation system and also partnering a little bit closer with families as we're going through the multi-tiered systems of support structures. So making sure that families are completely aware of what's happening and where their kiddo is and along the way, and how do they get support along the way for their kiddos. And also monitoring our instruction overall. So looking at tier 1 instruction and making sure that that's effective, and what happens as students move to receiving tier 2 instruction and tier 3 instruction, and how does that match with the systems we have in place to monitor through student response team. Our second goal this past year was to dive deeply into our homework practices. We had a working group for that as well, and they dove into some research around homework practices and developmentally appropriate practices, particularly at our age range. We did have a forum in our PSO meeting with parents. We had some really rich discussions around implications of homework even just assigning. So for example, is it equitable when you are assigning homework that looks a certain way? Is it doable when we talk about our kiddos who are sitting here with this stress level around schoolwork? So we had some really rich conversations in the PSO meeting. I also facilitated a student forum. That was really fascinating because I had second graders around the table, and I went through some questions with them to kind of dive deeper into kind of their perspective of homework. And in the beginning of the meeting, they were telling me things like, yeah, I really miss homework. Because this year we kind of took a stance of time with books and time with numbers was kind of broad. And then kiddos who needed some extra support, teachers would offer resources, or parents who asked for additional resources, they were offered. So these were kiddos who had specific homework in kindergarten and then didn't have it this year. And also last year. So they told me at the beginning of the meeting, we kind of missed because it was time with my family, because it would be that reading time with their family. And it also was an opportunity for them to practice what they learned. And then at the very end of the meeting, I said, stand up if you think that kindergarten, first and second graders should have homework. Stay seated if you're not sure. Sit on the floor if you say no. Every single one of them on the floor. So super fascinating. Really great conversations though about what the benefits of homework were, which will help kind of guide us as we update our handbook around those practices and dive deep to make sure that we have a complete expectation that is standard across grade levels. So we need to finalize and then update our handbook. So that's what's still to do. And in terms of wellness, I do feel like this is an area where we spend a lot of time, and part of that for me comes from this is students and families' first experience with Cohasset schools. And we want to build a culture that says you belong here, whether you're a grown-up in the school or a student in the school. So I think while we're focusing on it as part of our school improvement plan, I think it's something that is always a focus for schools, because we want it to be a place where everyone belongs. Some of the work that we did, we had two working groups kind of in this vein. One of them was the belonging working group and the other was the play working group. So the belonging working group gave us lots of recommendations about practice. They were the ones who recommended doing the assemblies, who recommended having time where students connect with grownups in terms of a community time, kind of like what Deer Hill does, which actually will need to go more solidly into our master schedule next year. And then the Playful Classroom group, the play group working group, did a book study on the Playful Classroom. When we planned our working group time, I didn't intentionally plan a time for everybody to share all the time because it was such a, I feel like we had such limited time. We did a lot of this work, but then we didn't have time. For example, the Playful Classroom, the play working group has a lot of kind of PD rich ideas that have come from their book study. So that will come as part of our goals next year in terms of making sure that we're implementing some of these recommendations. Some of the other recommendations from our belonging group were connecting with other schools. That obviously came out pretty clearly in our pictures that I shared. Community partnerships, we've strengthened those. And really, I think a lot of the work this year was finding additional ways to invite other Cohasset schools into the fun and continue with field trips. I think field trips weren't happening for a little bit, but now we've got second grade actually this week going to CSCR, and first grade got to go to Holly Hill. So that was really cool.
Sorry,
That's okay.
too fast.
Moving ahead for this coming school year, we as a school committee or school council, as well as our staff, have come up with 4 goals that we'd like to focus on. We would like to continue our focus on MTSS, both academic and behavior, to implement the recommendations from the working groups, and also to keep a laser focus on that tiered system, both for academics and for behavior, so that we can make sure that kids are supported throughout. The second goal will be around deeper learning. At our age range, we feel very strongly that play is the work of the young child. So really studying and leaning on our play working group to help us to find more ways to play. And to be clear, it doesn't mean that we're going to have kids in stations playing with blocks all day, though there is value in that, and there are times when that will happen. It really is play across a school day. So how are we incorporating ways that children are actually learning through play, along with project-based learning, which will be a piece of the professional development plan that's in place. We'll have representatives from our school who will be on the PBL track for the professional learning plan, and we're hoping to benefit from that. Also, the third goal we'd like to focus on is wellness. So encompassing both staff and student wellness. We have really noticed in the past few years, but when we speak with our counseling team, when we speak with our support staff, there is a real need for our young children to have better coping skills and to be better prepared to handle the stressors of school. And so we at the Osgood, they have used social thinking curriculum. They've used zones of regulation, and they've used also the responsive classroom. So the idea for the coming year is to revisit those programs that are already in place and not reinvent the wheel, but really depend back on and making sure everybody who's new to the Osgood has that training and that common language, just particularly around the social thinking. So if you're around Osgood, you'll hear things like bubble space. You'll hear things like what's the group plan, those kinds of things. So getting everybody back to that common language so that we even hear our parents saying that to kiddos. And this idea of mindfulness as well, because we can be going through our day pretty quickly for these, 6-year-old bodies. And they really do need the support to be able to learn effective coping skills and be able to practice some of that while they're in school. The other thing that we would like to focus on is having student voice at the table. So this past year has been really fascinating to watch these second graders really step up to the plate and have a voice in what's happening at school all day. I come from K-6 schools, so being at a school where you see the second graders as the leader is it's mind blowing because they do it. They come and ask me, Mrs. Gaudette, when are we planning our next assembly? And are you going to pull me next time for the forum for when we talked about homework? Those kinds of things. They are eager to be leaders at their school, and I think that this second grade group, particularly moving on to Deer Hill, they're going to be a great resource for you and your student advisory committee. But I'd like to lean into that further and allow more student voice to the table, particularly as we're looking at play and as we're looking at project-based learning. How do we use what they know to make them part of that process? Are there questions, wonderings, clarifications?
Anybody?
Thank you for that.
Sure.
How did you mentioned a bit about the review of homework and, the allocation of homework and how does that factor into your looking ahead? I didn't see it on the 4 points there.
Yep. So we still need to update our handbook with an updated policy that kind of synthesizes all of the information that we've gathered from our parents and our forums. The other piece of the puzzle is we want to make sure that we are in line with Deer Hill and that it's a kind of a look as the middle and high school are working on their homework practices over the coming year, that it really is a through line so that it's appropriate as we move along and it grows kids' stamina with homework along the way.
Yeah, I just didn't see it in your 26, 27 priority list.
No,
Because it's coming at your next.
it'll be in the handbook.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great, really all.
Yes, and I will also start by thanking my school council members, Craig McClellan as our school committee liaison, classroom teachers, Karen Johnston and Micah Masari. And then I also have 3 parents, Nicole Burke, Simon Leonard, and Jennifer Doyle. So, which I love. She's like a repeat. I had her with Grayson and now with Carson, and it's awesome. So I'm waiting for, I don't know,
That's it.
I'm very grateful for their work. And this was a unique cycle because that group both drafted this plan because of how we aligned with the new strategic plan, and they drafted next year's goals. So it was really a powerful experience to really complete a full cycle without any changes to the school council. I feel very lucky for that opportunity. So some highlights of the 25-26 school year. What I hope you see a commonality within my presentation is the alignment with Principal Gaudette's. I feel really lucky to have such a collaborative relationship with my own ESP, emotional support principal. And really, while it wasn't a school improvement plan goal, what really came out of our school improvement plans was how closely we worked on developing them and how that led to so much collaboration, commonality, alignment, and future consistency as we continue to work together. So along those lines, I also had a model of working groups in my building this year. There was overlap. And that was also the nice piece is we had, spaces for autonomy where we could kind of go in a different direction and then spaces of overlap. So my working groups were also belonging, homework. I had one that was slightly different on professional collaboration and teaming. And then also the MTSS academics and behavior similar to Principal Gaudette. I thought those working groups were a great way to elevate teacher voice in a very self-directed way. It may surprise some of you that I like to micromanage and I really like a plan. But with this, I let it go and I let everyone choose their own group, and instead of worrying, do I have someone from every grade level? Do I have a specialist? I just let them do it. And their self-selection process was amazing and super powerful. And it was a really good learning leadership moment for me. So the working groups met multiple times throughout the year. And again, it was a very concrete productive opportunity. Another highlight of the year for us also was that homework piece. We had actually had this, you may remember, as part of our last school improvement plan, and we had kind of an alignment issue with district priorities. And so this was like our year. And we had 2 parent forums, and we also had a homework working group. So we had teachers working on it, and really one of their outputs was like the starting point of like a vision statement. And then we had, I'm going to try and keep this tight, but I know Mr. McClellan was there, and Dr. Scollins and Dr. Shannon were there. We had a 5th grade roundtable. It just so happened to align with 5th grade curriculum and units of study that they were doing a argumentative position type unit on homework. And so I modified the questions that I used to guide my parent forums for the students. And then we created a roundtable rather than have them present. It was district leadership. It was school committee / school council. It was my entire school council was there. And we talked in a circle about homework. And just similar to what you were saying about the 2nd graders, just their articulate discourse, their sentence stems, how they, I'd like to agree with what Amy said, and then also add, or I'd like to respectfully share a different perspective. It was amazing. And really what also was powerful is that was towards the end of kind of collecting all the information. And I felt like these kiddos synthesized. I had charts and all these things, forums and all these things. And the 5th graders synthesized everything the adults had been talking about for 2 years into, we want it to be meaningful. Like, we want homework to help us understand something better that we don't feel confident in, or we want it to help us pursue something we have a high level of interest in. And I was like, okay, drop the mic. So I think, again, they were not an automatic of, no, we don't want homework. Like, they really thought about the continuum going into middle school. It was great to have Principal Scapoletti. He came to my parent forums. He came to this roundtable as well. And I kind of held him up as like a really important audience because that's where they're headed and that's where the work is going to. But it was really not only a highlight of the school improvement plan, but really it was just one of my favorite moments at Deer Hill, like in my 8 years. So it was exciting. And now what we're in the process of doing is, and I'm probably skipping ahead on my slides, but I'm just gonna keep talking and we'll kind of sort that out. Is we will not only have a kind of small summary within our handbook, but that will be ready for you in a couple weeks. But my work over the summer, and I'm already in process, is synthesizing the notes from those students from all the forums, this and that. And my goal is to be able to roll out to families like a position paper, a guidelines document that really kind of spells out and really begins with that, like, this is what we believe. And based on what we believe, this is some decisions we've made, and this is what you can expect, and this is how we build consistency, and this is how it will guide you to the middle school, and really kind of synthesize all of that. So I'm actually really excited about that work. I'm going to geek out on this today. I'm going to warn you. I'm really excited about that work this summer. I think it's been great. And then another highlight was looking again at some of the strengths in how we support student behaviors and some areas of growth, and what are some things that we need to do around the behavior matrix. I feel like Amy and I, sometimes we're kind of like this, like I'm working on this and she's working on that, and then we kind of flop. And I really liked her behavior matrix. I've also had the opportunity to review some from other districts. The behavior working group worked on that. And that's also a key work plan for my work this summer, is again to synthesize that so that it can really give a cohesive, not policy, I know that's school committee, but more just a guideline, an overview, and an expectation and a belief around behavior as we go into the next school year. And so again, the working groups all contributed to that. So this was our goal. That first priority goal this year was the collaboration and belonging among our school community. I've talked to you about the working groups. In addition to that, we were very successful in This pilot word is so tricky. We did not pilot a new units of study curriculum, but the units of study had new materials they wanted us to give feedback on. So it's a little different. So they were actually piloting and we used those materials. And so that very similar to what we'd used in the past, actually was very much a feedback model if they've tried to improve some things. And so teachers had opportunity to really go into that more deeply this year. And that was definitely a part of that collaboration, working really closely with our reading specialists and within grade levels and things like that. And another highlight of this school priority was, again, Amy and I had, Principal Gaudette and I had 2 joint faculty meetings this year, which is the first time we've ever done anything like that. And because of that alignment, we were able to focus them around our working group work and synthesize some ideas and mix groups and get folks talking across buildings about the things that we share in common. And so again, it just elevated the conversation and built the consistency. That was really exciting. And there we are at our joint faculty meetings. And another way we're the same is we were throwing pies. And so, you know, and to Principal Gaudette's point, you know, you do hard work and then you play. And I think that finding ways for staff to play was really important. And so we pied and we pied and we pied. I think, you know, I was at every lunch that day and yeah, and it was a lot of fun. Our school priority number 2, I feel like I've gone pretty in depth with this, but just looking at those homework practices, this kind of gives you more in depth of what that process was. We looked at our current practices. We really provided opportunities for families. I was really excited this year, different than the year before when I'd done a forum where a couple teachers just popped in. This year, teachers, I think because of that working group connection, they felt a lot of ownership around the topic of homework. Teachers attended both the one during the day and the nighttime one with intentionality, and they loved the opportunity to do a carousel, answer some very direct questions, and really think things through with the families. I think that made it a lot more meaningful than if it was myself and the families, but having a really robust representation of faculty. And then I talked about the other thing. I'm here. Okay. Whoa,
sorry.
I see. Okay. So there we are. There's the round table. See, literally round table. There's some forums. Mr. Evans, I think you're in there. And so it was, again, great opportunities. Okay. The third goal this year was, again, similar to Osgood's, looking at MTSS both from that academic and behavioral lens. I think this is one of those goals. I was looking at the presentation from the secondary principals, and that idea, like things kind of always live in the yellow. I think maybe it was you, Mr. Dial, that made that comment. And that idea that if something's important, you're always working on it and improving it. And so that is definitely the case with our behavior and academic. I am very proud of our SRT model. We do train the staff every year. We work really collaboratively, and I think we have some nice systems and structures in place, but we did look through them and tweak them again this year, changed the members of our team. And then as some action item things, again, as I mentioned before, really honing in on how do we communicate behavior expectations and make them consistent across the building and communicate them effectively to families. On the left there, that's an example of the work that we did at one of the joint faculty meetings. We were looking at that, the MTSS model pyramid, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and kind of what are the things that we're doing in there. That middle picture, I love. The beginning of the year, we also do a behavior expectations assembly for our school, but it bubbled up that maybe some Deer Hill friends were not being their best selves at high school sporting events. And so from that, I partnered with Steve Rotundi, and he's like, I got a plan. And he came down with all the captains from the fall sports teams. And I think they were having some kind of a spirit day. That's why they're all like in togas. That wasn't part of the assembly. But talk about, again, who do kids want to hear from? Other kids. Sorry, said that very directly. And so that was an amazing experience. And I feel like the feedback afterwards was that behavior changed. It was a night and day at the football games in terms of how Deer Hill represented. And I just think, again, it was that alignment and how we think about behavior and carrots versus sticks. And then again, that idea of one of the ways that we best support student behavior, and this is a phrase that I know Amy uses, is that behavior is communication. And so when we are supporting student wellness, we are supporting student behavior. And when we are building community, we are supporting positive student behavior. And so that picture on the right is, this was our second year participating in Unity Day, which is a national anti-bullying day. And so we all wear orange, even Hugo. And we really think about what it means to be a community that shows up for each other. And again, a big piece of that behavior. That's that proactive step that if everyone feels the ownership of their community, the behavior improves. So looking ahead to 26 and 27, again, I worked very closely with our school council, also talking with staff. We're always looking for that alignment. I really do live our school improvement plan and connect it and articulate that to staff. Our first goal will be around project-based learning. I had the pleasure, I won't say how many years ago, Dr. Shannon, of being trained by you when I was a reading specialist at Osgood, and she trained me in PBL. And since then, I would say I've tread water. So I'm actually really excited this summer when we were doling out book club assignments for leadership to lead in the district. I asked for the project-based learning book because I want to learn alongside staff to help with that work. We will also have staff choose that pathway as part of their district-wide learning. And then my understanding is that we have a grant from CEF to fund like a train the train, or like a cohort that's really going to do a deeper dive. And I will absolutely be sending some representation from Deer Hill for that piece. So I'm really excited about that goal. One of the things that the homework forum showed me was that sometimes I don't recognize what is project-based learning. And so I think I'm one of the things I'm looking forward to is seeing where it already exists in our building, and then how do we develop it further. And so I appreciated that Dr. Shannon was like, so that's project-based learning. I was like, so that was super exciting. Our next goal is around professional learning with a lens toward elevating teacher voice, and then also recognizing that we have some new initiatives this year in our building. We have our 5th grade has had a really successful rollout over the last few years of the Investigating History Social Studies curriculum. And this next year, 3rd and 4th grade will get to start that work. And so I want to really be intentional around that. One of the action items you'll see on this goal in your packet is that one piece I want to be deliberate about bringing in is opportunities for teachers to spend time in each other's classrooms, whether that's observations, whether it's walkthroughs, whether it's what we call ghost walks, where they get to go and really spend time in the environment and look at anchor charts and things like that when students aren't there. But that's something I'm really looking forward to in our professional learning. And then also we do both for project-based learning. Actually, the first 3 bullets, I'm very excited next year to start an instructional leadership team in my building with the focus of having representation from grade level specialists, again, that kind of cross-section of the building as we address the first 3 goals in our school improvement plan, and really identify our math and reading specialists are such strong curricular leaders in our building, and I really do lean on them being the only administrator. And I want to elevate the voice of the classroom teachers in that role. And I think it will help kind of interlace things better. And so again, that formation of the ILT will also facilitate the work we will do on grading and assessment practices. At our level, we don't grade. There's no A, B, C, D, but we are always assessing student work. A lot of it's on, based on our progress report on a support model. How much support or how much independence does a student demonstrate? With that somewhat subjectivity, and qualitative data, we want to make sure that, again, we've got that consistency. And so a lot of our work on this goal will be around what are we doing? I think the way I worded it in my school improvement plan draft is a SWOT analysis of what's working well. What are our strengths? What do we need to work on? What are, some things like some opportunities, and really looking at that this year. And I anticipate, spoiler alert, that next year that will be a goal again with more of an action items, similar to kind of how homework had that trajectory. And then this is my first year having 4 goals. And again, I think I credit Amy with that, because I was like, oh, I'm just really feeling like this piece is missing, and I don't know. And she's like, well, just have a 4th goal. Like, oh, okay. So I also have a 4th goal around belonging. And similar to the formation of the ILT, again, I'm hearing feedback from my staff. They're looking for elevated voice. So we are going to have a belonging steering committee. This year we had a belonging working group. Again, it was a little bit of an analysis. Now we're like ready to go. The steering committee is a delegation piece where they will kind of see what's in place and make plans. And they themselves will have some delegation ability. It won't just be, oh, if you're on this committee, you are now responsible for DEAR teams and, Monday meetups and things like that, but more, who can we tap? This has already started happening organically in my building this year. We had our last DEAR teams of the year on Monday, and the entire thing came from a text that Mrs. Kelleher sent me on a Sunday morning. It said, so I have this idea for DEAR teams. What if we do a guess who game and I make AI ChatGPT images of all the staff and the kids can guess? And I was like, okay, what do you need? And I'm thinking to myself, I don't know if I know how to do that. She's like, no, I've got you. And she took it on, and within a week, she had, if you want to see it, I can send you the presentation. She had the most adorable slide deck of every staff member. And so our DEAR teams were guess who, like, who do you think that is? And she had little clues on their t-shirts. And it was exactly what I want to do with some of the steering committee work. Mrs. Perel and Mrs. Grogan said, hey, the CEF does this amazing spelling bee every year. It can be really scary for kids. What if one of our Monday meetups is a staff spelling bee? And so they ran with it. And then lastly, we have an upcoming 5th graders and staff have talent show completely planned by Mrs. Boris, and actually a parent who brought it as an idea and said, hey, when I was at Deer Hill, we used to have a talent show. And so partnered them up, and they are off and running. So I'm really excited to formalize some of that organic work and elevate that voice. I think not only will it increase the belonging among our staff, because it gives them like that shared goal and some of that joy, but again, it creates all those ideas, foster belonging among students, which is, of course, our ultimate goal. So those are my 4 goals for next year. And there we are. So any questions I can answer for you?
Thank you very much. Comments, questions from the committee?
I, in listening to both of you, really appreciate the way in which belonging and community is being fostered, not only by sort of cross classroom play, cross school interactions, that I think that there's something about Cohasset is a small district, and the ways in which we can sort of give both faculty and students a bigger experience within our smaller buildings by not allowing those walls of a classroom to exist as where a student and a teacher spend their entire 180 days, and to broaden that and to open that up, I think is a wonderful way to make sure that everyone feels like they might have a chance of making a connection for those kids and teachers who maybe don't find their people right away. And I think that can go a long way in terms of school culture. So I just really appreciated hearing that in the way in which it was very thoughtfully done in both of your schools and in both of your plans. So thank you.
If I can say one more thing that makes me think of something that happened this week, which was our Bike to School with Mr. Yu. It was the 3rd annual. And I know Dr. Shannon was there, and you just look out on the comment. I know you were there, and not only, like, it has grown over the years. So not only was it Deer Hill kids, but there were Osgood kids there and parents riding bikes. and the police and, again, being a girl from Southern California where the elementary school had over 1,000 kids and you weren't biking anywhere. Just that ability to like ride through town, see, oh, there they are at the bagel shop. Everyone meets on the common. And then we ride to school was such an intersection of how we rely on our community, how we get support from our CEF, because that started as a grant, how we support wellness and belonging and all these things. It was like, yeah, exactly.
When the school bus came up and it was like all the kids, it was like a standing ovation for the school. It was like, it was so funny.
Friends and they had to come by bus.
All the things.
And it was like, there's, love it too much.
Mr. Human had an awesome video, like he
Oh.
had like, when he was riding.
Writing? Oh,
Yeah, he posted on his own.
Oh,
It was so
I didn't
good.
see that.
It
Okay.
was so good.
It was, yeah, and the Cohasset Anchor had a cute.
I have a little video to share with everybody, but.
Oh, sorry, I didn't.
No, you're good. Stole my thunder and that's.
Set you up for this spot.
I will talk, I will just share the video.
But yeah, I just love that. So fun.
So your enthusiasm and your passion is really palpable, and that's going to be felt by the staff at your respective buildings and of course the students. I think that's one thing that's extremely clear, especially at this point in the year, right? It's toward the end of the year and you're still like, you're both at like level 11 about what we do. And it's like, and I'm not saying that, like, I'm saying that with the utmost respect and appreciation. Really, it's really helpful that we have that. And I just, there's one thing, one major evolution I've seen since I've been on the committee is that, we have a Blue Ribbon High School, right? And Principal Scott would be the first one to tell you that that's the result of all the work that comes before it. And we are now seeing, I think Dr. Scollins has seen this evolution as well, but now the alignment between each, it wasn't always there. It was distinct sort of, distinct levels. And now there's an alignment, which I think really helps propel students, and helps them reach their full potential. It helps staff, I think, align in terms of what their planning is going to be and building leadership and district leadership in terms of curriculum. I mean, you can see the strategic plan reflected in that. And I mean, I'm sure Dr. Scollins saw the same thing. It wasn't always like that. And now we're really and we're not like the joint faculty meeting is, these things hadn't happened before and they're really beneficial to the district. So, thank you both for, finding that wonderful working relationship with each other. And I see you doing it with, on the other side as well with Principal Scopoletti, not Principal Mills.
Too.
We got them both.
Just recently.
And I know Principal Scopoletti works a lot with Principal Scott as well. So it's just really lovely to see that. It's one thing I wanted to remark is on your enthusiasm, but also the alignment that we're seeing with wide. I think it's what propels us into being a premier school district, public school district.
And I think they've role modeled what you'll see later on. I'm going to share our professional learning plan. Is that actually Principal Scopoletti and Principal Scott are going to have a couple shared joint faculty meetings next year as well.
There you go.
Because it has been such a great model down at the elementary level.
And we've already planned our date for next year. Yeah, we planned one and figured we can always, actually next year, I'm changing my faculty meeting day to align with Osgood so that we can be flexible. And if we decide something makes more sense to do together, we can do that.
I'll just, I'll add, just to finally, we've had 3 great examples just tonight about students leading, right? Safe Harbor. Your anecdote about 2nd graders and 5th graders, I would recommend actually let the 5th graders write that white paper. We'll see what happens.
Yes.
But the point being that if we make space for them to assert, they fill that space.
Yes.
And I think to the previous point about not listening to an adult talk for 45 minutes, right? It's very easy for adults to try to fill the space. But if we give them the space, and I think we keep reinforcing or reminding ourselves of elevating the student's voice, it's just, it seems like we're on the right path. So I loved hearing all of that.
Agency is super powerful.
All right, well, thank you both.
Thank you.
So we do have to have an adoption
Oh,
here.
yes.
So I will accept, or looking for a motion to endorse the 26, approve the 26-27 school improvement plan for Osgood and Deer Hill.
So, second.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having us. We'll see you for our handbooks.
Have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we will put the vote for the other room plans on the agenda for
next,
next week.
yeah.
Okay. All right, next up, we're just trying to something new, and we may move this around, but I want to try to have the weekly announcements, the things that are looking forward for the weeks ahead for parents, separated from the superintendent report, which is more behind what's happened. So I'm just trying to improve how we get the information about upcoming stuff out there, and considering we're at the end of the year and there's a lot of stuff in flux. So I'll hand it off to Dr. Shannon for the weekly announcement section.
Thank you. So, I would sort of put the caveat that people should also check their school websites and school newsletters, because I didn't necessarily include every little thing at every grade level. But lots of really great things coming up. Tomorrow night is class night for seniors. It's where they'll get scholarships and awards. Saturday is graduation. It is at 1 p.m. at the Music Circus. Bring tissues. Tuesday, June 9th is Cohasset Middle School's art night. Thursday, June 11th is the 8th grade dance. Friday, the 19th is no school. That is federal celebration of Juneteenth. Monday, June 22nd is the last day for pre-K and kindergartners. So I just want to reiterate that that is not the last day for everybody. It's just for our littlest students, our pre-Kers and our kindergartners. We have one last 25-26 school committee meeting on Wednesday, June 24th. And then Thursday, June 25th is the last day of school. And I will be sending out an email to the entire community with what time the schools will get out, because it is technically earlier release than what the traditional early release is. And so we want everybody to just be aware what time their kids are actually going to be arriving home. So it's an exciting time of year. There's lots coming up and lots to pay attention to.
All right, we'll roll right into the
Okay.
update, please.
So I want to thank Mrs. Svensson and Miss Magnia and so many other high school staff who helped to plan the senior prom from 2 Fridays ago. And I also want to thank the parent volunteers who make up the prom committee. The CAD is definitely a lead contributor to that work. They put on the pre-prom event and they keep the night going and our children safe at a post-prom event. It was a great night. The word on the street from all of the students who attended is that it was really wonderful from beginning to end. I have yet to hear a single complaint about the night from any student. It was all positive feedback. They had a great time. And I think more than anything, they just appreciated being together. And they made a lot of great memories. So that was fantastic. And it takes a lot of work for everybody involved. So we have all the time and dedication that they put into that. All right. Principal Sullivan really did steal my thunder, but we need to take one moment and just, if I can find it, and just watch this very short little video. I know, I don't know how to put the sound on with it. I'm gonna try.
If you share screen, there's a checkbox for share sound
Okay,
on the share screen.
okay. So let's see. I just don't want it to give feedback.
I'll mute this.
just coming. That's the bike to school day. It was great fun. I even got my bike out of the rafters. And the weather cooperated, but as Principal Sullivan said, it's just a wonderful example of our small community coming together. Police were there, all of our students, including our students who are part of the MECO program, were able to participate. It's just a great event. And so thank you to the CEF for supporting Mr. Humans back when he requested all of the funding to bring the bikes and the safety gear. And thank you to Mr. Humans for putting that together. And just as a reminder, it's not just about riding your bike, it's about riding your bike safely. And so we hope as our students go into these more consistent summer days that they are doing so. And I always like to just remind families that as school starts to get out, there are more and more students on their bikes. And so just as we are as drivers, just to be extra cautious on the road, because we love that our kids ride their bikes everywhere in Cohasset, and we need to pay attention as we're adults when we're driving. Wanting to provide a spring sports update as we are rounding the corner to final games. So baseball had a 6-12 final record. They were the number 25 seed in the tournament. They did lose in the preliminary round, but had a good season. Softball had a 12-8 final record. They were seeded number 21 and lost in the round of 32. Boys tennis is currently 12-5. They were the number 6 seed in the tournament, and they are still playing. So they are entering into the quarterfinals Friday the 5th, so 2 days from now. Girls tennis is still playing as well. They went 11-7 this season. They were seeded number 6 as well, and they'll be playing, I guess today. I don't know if they won or not. That hasn't been communicated to me, but they were in the state finals. Boys lacrosse, they have had a great season. They went 15-5. They are the number 1 seed in the tournament, and they played today in the quarterfinal. They played today in the round of 8. They won, and so they play in the quarterfinals Friday. There'll be a lot of sporting events to go to on Friday. Girls lacrosse, they are 20-2. They were also the number 1 seed in the tournament. They were playing as we came in. They were winning. I don't know the result of that. I'm going to make an assumption that they were going to win, but you know, we can always assume. So let's hope that happens. And if they win, they will play again, but we don't know when. Girls golf did not qualify for the sectional tournament, but ended up 6-7 overall. Sailing went undefeated in the regular season. We have a pretty unbelievable sailing team, but they did end up losing in the Class B championship race. Track and field, we had 13 athletes qualify for the Division 6 state championship meet. Nicholas Astier is our Division 6 state champion in the discus and in the shot put. And he and Michael Giglio will advance to the meet of champions tomorrow at Merrimack College. It's like going to all states. So it's quite an achievement for them. And also just wanting to share that we recognized a couple of weeks ago the following athletes who will be continuing their academic and athletic careers in college next year. Ava Carcio is going to Babson to play soccer. Johnny Appleton is going to Middlebury to swim. Kevin Sweet is going to LaSalle to play baseball. Well, I'm going to say this differently. He's going to LaSalle for academic reasons, and he's also going to be playing baseball. Caitlin Sims is going to Wesleyan, where she will be playing softball. Addie Andrews is going to Union, where she will continue playing basketball and lacrosse. Kate Greer is going to UMass, where she will continue to play lacrosse. Avery Regan is going to Bucknell, where she will continue to play lacrosse. Braden DeBona is going to Mass Maritime, where he will continue to play lacrosse. Max Monahan is going to Union, where he will continue to play lacrosse. Ty Dwyer is going to Rhodes College, and he will continue to play lacrosse. And Miles Melanson will go to Keene State, where he will continue to play lacrosse. A lot of lacrosse players. Paul Chapman is going to Roger Williams, where he will sail. And Brandon Chapman is going to Hobart, where he will continue to run cross country. So we're very excited for all of our student athletes as they wrap up their time in Cohasset this week and move on to their college experience. So those are all of the updates I have for you this evening. If there are any questions, otherwise I'll jump into the professional learning plan.
Dr. Shan, before you do that, I just have a question about the professional learning plan. For how is this new?
Yes.
Okay. How long is this?
I'm gonna briefly cover it. I'm not reading every slide.
Okay, just because we've already
Yes.
been in for 90 minutes, but we still have a lot of meeting left. So
Yep.
I'm just wondering, because I don't know what this is like, because I don't know what to expect.
I'm gonna give you an overview.
Great.
You have it
We love your-
so that you can read every slide if you would like. I'm gonna just sort of update on how it came to be and what the purpose is and a couple highlights.
Perfect, thank you. I have the slides. I was just wondering if.
Yep.
Michael's over there worrying.
I've got you. Don't you worry. Okay.
Okay.
So one of the things that came out of, that's not what I wanted to do, came out of the strategic plan and my entry plan was that teachers were looking for more input and more communication around professional learning. And so Dr. Scollins and I revamped our professional learning committee. We had several teachers on the committee, several administrators on the committee. And our work was to listen to staff. We talked to staff, we did surveys, and we used all of that feedback to create a comprehensive professional learning plan for next year that we have already shared with the staff. We shared with the staff what we learned throughout this process. I'm not going to read this to you. This is just some showing you. And why professional learning is important. The things that our teachers told us in our ESPs is that they wanted to learn more about deeper learning and having the conversations. They've been hearing about it, but they need support in that work. We agree. They wanted to have more choice and have professional learning be relevant to what mattered to them. And they wanted it to connect directly to their classroom practices. They also love learning from each other. We spent an entire day this year with teacher-led learning. We're going to repeat that exercise next year because it was so well received. And we have amazing staff who have a lot to share. And that they like in-person collaborative learning better than other types of learning, which I think we all do. So our professional learning focuses are directly tied to the strategic plan for next year. And you're going to see in subsequent years that this actually, the foci aren't going to change a whole lot. They're around curriculum instruction and assessment. They focus on continuing our program reviews. They focus on project-based learning and deeper learning, inclusive and culturally responsive practices, technology, specifically AI, continuing our conversations about grading. It should all sound very familiar to you from our 4 school improvement plans. Our teachers want choice. So we decided as a council that we will have 4 different professional learning tracks next year that our educators can choose from. And they will very much stay the same for the next couple of years so people can cycle through the tracks. Because we don't want to keep changing things. These are really important priorities for us, and it's not anything that we can all learn in 1 year. So those 4 tracks will be project-based and deeper learning, inclusive and culturally responsive practices, grading and assessment, and AI for educators. This is what they receive so that they can see how all of that ties directly back to our strategic plan and to their school improvement plans, what the outcomes will be as we do this learning together as adults, what the evidence of practice will be in progress. And it talks about the year at a glance, what we'll be doing for professional learning in the fall, winter, and spring. And then it gets very specific and down into details, what will happen on each specific professional learning day. So in the past, they didn't always know exactly what was happening on those days. They know now what's happening on December 4th of next year. We also had a lot of conversation about making sure our professional development for our educational support professionals was really relevant and meaningful and thoughtful and intentional. And so we have done that work as a council, and this is the plan that our ESPs will be following all of next year. And it very much aligns to the work that the teachers are doing. It takes advantage of some additional time on conference days that our ESPs have, and it's aligned to our strategic plan. We put our staff meetings on this presentation so everybody knows them now. There'll be no surprises. You can see that there's a lot of commonality because our principals are really starting to try and bring people together. We also felt like, let's put everything about professional learning and professional development in one place. So we have summer opportunities for the last 2 years, 2 years, 1 year.
Yeah.
1 year. We've done summer book clubs.
Right.
I can't remember anymore. It's like I guess just last year.
Yeah, I guess.
I've only been here really one
Yeah.
full summer. We did summer book clubs with staff. We had over 30 adults participating. So we are recreating that experience with new books. Each of these books connects with one of our tracks for professional learning. And we have folks who are running those book clubs, and they're signing up, and they will begin in July. We also have other opportunities that are presented to staff. Every teacher who is a certified teacher has to recertify every so often, and you have to have PDPs in specific areas. These are the ways that they can earn those PDPs. This is just a great resource if teachers don't know where to go to find these opportunities. They're all here in one place. We also have all of the information for staff if they want to get a course approved, if they're changing their column because they know they're going to graduate with a master's degree next year. We included all of the ways that they need to follow, process in order to make that happen. And even for license renewal through DESE. And so this has become a very comprehensive resource for our staff about all things professional learning and professional development. And so it's something new. It will evolve over time as we get feedback from staff, but it is something that our Professional Learning Council is very excited about because we think that it is in direct response to the asks that teachers have had. And so I wanted to share it with you, one, so that you could see what the Professional Learning Council has done. That was one of my 5 strategic planning groups. And also so that you can see what the teachers will be doing and the ESPs will be doing next year on early release and professional learning days. There is still other professional learning that happens even outside of those days. And that will make its way in over time. But there's a lot for us to do next year. This is a small piece of it, and it is all directly aligned to our school goals, district goals, and our strategic. So if there are any questions.
To be respectful of Greg's concern about time, are there any high priority questions?
I think it looks wonderful. It's great. It's great to see that they know exactly And no independent, like, they just don't know, and for them, I think it's huge. And you're learning, and it's, it's something great.
I have a high priority comment. I think this is also important for our parents to understand what is going on professional development days. I
Yeah.
think sometimes this demystifies it. This is what teachers are working on. It's a comprehensive plan and it's going to be for the betterment of our students. And I think that's a wonderful thing for our families to understand that this is not just a vacuous day where some magic happens.
Yes.
That this is a really intentional thing. And thank you for creating specific professional development for our ESPs. I think that's
Yes.
hugely important. And I don't think many districts do that. And I think you're on the cutting edge there of really giving ESPs what they need to continue to grow here.
And to
That was
build
too
on,
short.
no, it's perfect. Well, I think that, and to build off that, like we have to, on the budget side, if we're going to put this
Mhm.
PD on a budget line item, the more we learn how to talk about it,
Yeah.
then the more we learn how to defend it.
Yeah.
So, it's great.
Yeah, just for the record, I wasn't saying this was not important. I was just going to suggest that if it was robust, we would maybe do it in a time where we might have more bandwidth for it. I think it's hugely important, so I was not trying to diminish.
I didn't think you were diminishing
All right,
it at all.
just clarifying, no one thought that that's what I was saying. Not what I was saying.
We'll check the tape, Mr. Dye.
Minutes will reflect what you really think.
Okay, thank you very much. And we will continue on. Dr. Scollins, with your academic initiatives.
Can you give me,
Oh,
one thing, should you already do it?
No, I hadn't done it because when I was doing, you weren't on yet. I couldn't.
Ah, okay,
you were, I promoted you to panelist, make co-host.
yes.
Why don't I do that? Thank
For
you.
a quick picture. So last week, we celebrated our new, so their year came to a quick end. Seems it goes by so fast. And usually too, we had it at the end of May and they only have 2 weeks. But it was really interesting when I said, oh, but you're here for another 5 weeks, but it's okay. Like, so it was wonderful. And our mentors too. So we're actually missing one, Rachel, on the left. But on the right is our mentors. We can't do it without our mentors. They spend an enormous amount of time with our new teachers, and their work is what keeps educators from leaving the field. We need to make sure that we surround our teachers in those first 3 years and even 5, because if we don't, the percentage that leave the industry is really high. So we're really fortunate. We actually don't have here in Cohasset. It's wonderful. Our teachers stay, but that really has a lot to do with our mentors and everyone else that supports our teachers. So I just wanted you to see their smiling faces, and it's one of the favorite parts of my job is working with teachers. Because there's so much growth and so much excitement that happens. Just really quickly, a couple of things, as you know, very busy as we end our school year. We finished up our work with the social studies curriculum review. We're finalizing our final report, but one of the things that did come out is the fact that we need to really look at our social studies at the elementary level. And so we talked a little bit about the fact that teachers will start in grades 3 and 4 implementing investigating history, which we already have in the 5th grade. We met and finalized today our course approval rubric. This is something that came out of our negotiations, and this is something that lots of districts are dealing with. Post-COVID, courses for educators and everyone has changed greatly. You used to know who the accrediting institutions were. Everything kind of was either in person or if it was a hybrid, there was, synchronous work. Now there are so many choices. And so even the Massachusetts Association of Superintendents put out notification about us looking at what is the rigor of these courses and what should be expected. And so we had a team of teachers together that looked at that, and we came up with, I think, a pretty solid, this is what a good course looks like. This is what maybe we need to look at. And here are some things, if these things are there, they're red flags, and it's not going to be a rigorous enough course for you in the future. So that was wonderful. MCAS is finishing up. Today was the last day for the middle school. They had civics for 8th grade. yesterday and today. High school finished earlier this week in physics, so that is nice to see that. And then finally, our Student Opportunity Act, remember I bring that progress to you in April, well, it was approved today. So was happy to see that, and so nice way to end. That's it, just wrapping up a lot of other things.
Thank you very much. Questions, comments?
Dr. Jones, with regard to the social studies curricula, is it Osgood and Deer Hill?
Yes, but only Deer Hill is doing 3 and 4 because they're the only investigating history is only released 3 and 4.
Right, okay.
So we're looking at the reading program has a lot of history and science things built into it. So we're looking at those at the elementary level and how we're going to work on that. But that's part of the work that came out of the social studies is how are we going to look at how it's being taught at those lower grades.
Okay, to the extent that if there are gonna be like material changes to the way that we deliver that subject to the kids, should we? I'm just thinking
So we'll
back
be
to
doing-
the ELA
yeah.
changes that were,
Yeah.
I think, caught some people by surprise. So I just want to
Yeah.
make sure that we roll it out in a more
Yeah.
like I don't know, deliberate fashion
So
if we need to.
yeah, it'll be similar to how we did it with 5th grade. So they're only going to, the teachers are just getting their hands on it. The materials really just came out. So they're looking at them over the summer and then they're going to implement 2 units next year and then the next year 2 more units. And so we'll show parents how that looks. Dr. Wilcox will be coming on board and so she will be helpful in sharing with parents all of that. And the 5th grade absolutely loves this. And they've been doing it for a couple of years and they can't say enough about it. So it's so interconnected with our literacy. They really looked at that piece because literacy standards in all of our standards, content, especially social studies. And so it's a nice, it's really a nice program and a nice combination.
Okay. As long as there's a plan to message this to the community and let the families know exactly what it is we're changing.
Yes.
So that they can share insight or express concern or ask questions, probably more likely.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, our 5th grade teachers, a couple of them were happy to come and talk about it.
Yeah,
So
that's
I
great.
think that would be nice to have that in the fall as they're rolling it out and
Yeah,
talk
that's
about
great.
what
I
the
just,
experience has been.
we
Yeah,
were here when we made the last mistake. I just don't want to repeat
Yeah.
things like that.
I agree.
If there's not anything else, we can say thank you and continue on with our next item. Everyone good with that? All right, thank you very much. And we will go to Mr. Stapleton.
Good evening, everyone.
You are already sharing.
I just, yes, was able to, perfect. So I have, for my last student service update of the year, some data sharing and then some miscellaneous pieces to go over. So first for the data sharing, May was again a busy month with 38 total meetings. You can see there, 17 annual reviews at the elementary level, 5 at the secondary level. There were 5 reevaluations at the elementary level, 5 at the secondary level. And then I broke out, and I'm going to continue moving forward if the committee is still looking for me to use the second chart. I know, Lance, I'm sorry, it's here again.
I know.
But
There it is.
here, really looking, targeting down. I do think the overall the data is important when we think about staffing, personnel, you know, and what the office and department looks like month to month. But in May, there were 3 initial evaluations. All 3 of those came from the MTSS or Student Response Team process, and all 3 of those were found eligible. So again, we'll continue to track this. I'll look at this data again in June, but I do think this is a way to really, more compared to the first chart, really accurately look at the numbers to continue monitoring here. As I close out the year, a conversation we've had at multiple previous meetings and something that I'm constantly looking at, but have not necessarily defined, is looking at the total number and percentages of special education students across the district at each school level, and then also considering the percentages of students who have Section 504 accommodation plans. When we think about total number of students with educational disabilities, both requiring special education services and then accommodations that they're entitled to through Section 504. And so I've, at the start of each year, or starting last year, but my predecessor also was tracking this data. We were looking at the total number of percentages for special education, but I have started to break out and tease out the percentages of others, other categories as well. Again, I think this connects to just being diligent and knowing how our evaluation process is working, how we're identifying students, and then also thinking about the conversations that have happened. Like, are we missing students? Making sure that we're having healthy conversations about the total number of percentages of kids. And really to reaffirm the fact that I do feel confident that at each building level and across the district, we are identifying the appropriate students for special education and for students who are entitled through Section 504. So again, these numbers are pretty clear. I'm proud to see where we are for special education percentages. I know I've always talked about not exceeding over 20%, the state average and just in general averages. I think that where we stand right now is solid from a staffing perspective, ensuring that our staff have, appropriate caseloads, that they're able to work with students in an effective manner, and then also that we're not over-identifying or under-identifying. So I think the range that we're in is solid right now. And so as we come to the close of this school year, I wanted to highlight this, and then we'll continue to be monitoring this moving forward.
Can you tell me that, start with that 1460?
So that's the total number of students in Cohasset Public Schools. I would try to be sensitive with the out of district numbers for a number of reasons.
Okay.
These are
So there's not 1,460 students in Cohasset who go to different schools.
Correct. It's the total number of
That was like a whole different school out there that is.
It's active enrollment students, and out of all the total students that we're responsible for within Cohasset Public Schools, that percentage are the students that are placed in out of district placements for special education through the Office of Student Services.
Got it.
But 1460 includes everybody, including not the children that are in our district, maybe not in our buildings.
Correct. Yet all active students within like the Aspen system.
But where do the students who get services here, or do they just get evaluations here? But
so they will be included in the active number of students that have been that are within the Aspen system that we're monitoring.
Okay, got it.
The second piece, and I'll have any questions to go through at the end. Last year, in each year, the district receives through IDEA, the federal special education law, and education determination. I have positive news to share again tonight. Cohasset was determined to meet requirements with a score of 97%, earning 38 out of 39 possible points. This was the area when I started that I was we went through the SPED strategies work, is how I might phrase that, for a number, and I'll go through each category. So this data was based on 2024 to 2025 school year data. A lot of it's pulled straight from SIMS or like through our Aspen system tied to specific codes. So I'll read through those. In the original presentation that I had sent out on Monday, I had noticed an error in the information we had gotten from the state. And so I met with them yesterday. So the packets you have in front of you might not be fully accurate, but I have updated them and I can resend them out. They originally had said we had 37 points, had earned 37 and it was like a 95%. We actually had earned 38. I met with them yesterday to clarify that information. So again, not that I'm competitive, but I was doing my due diligence to understand why we were rated the way that we were. So I had a productive conversation, which I'll highlight the original area that in the packet, it may indicate that we did not receive the full points, but we did. So as a result of this finding, this determination, we are not required to engage in specific targeted technical activities this year, which is a positive. And if families or the community is interested in learning more about that determination status matrix, which I'll go through in a moment, I've linked here the overview of information. So again, looking at the percentages, we earned at 97%, meeting requirements. The area where we did not receive full points was for performance. I'll highlight that specific area in a moment. But for compliance, we received the full 20 out of 20 points. And then for other considerations, which was tied to timely submission of data and then the maintenance of effort, which is tied to our federal and state grants, we received the full 3 out of 3 points. Again, so it's receiving 30 out of 39 points. The performance data is broken down here, and I won't read line by line. I did want to highlight, again, as I did last year in my final presentation, the area where we would want to be below the state target is the percentage of children who drop out. Again, the number and this percentage that drove this wasn't students who dropped out of Cohasset High School. It's students who would receive special education services up until their 22nd birthday, and that wouldn't receive a high school diploma, that would receive a certificate of attainment. It's how it's coded in the system. So I do, again, I think it's important context to have. When we look at the assessments and results for reading and math, this was the area that had originally resulted in the work for SPED strategies and that task force that I created last year. And this is really tied to the percentage of children with disabilities who meet proficiency targets. And so we're again above the state target for all areas in each grade level. It's hard to compare the exact data because it stays the same, not by cohort, but by actual grade level. So 4th grade, 8th grade, and then high school, the 10th grade component. So we're not looking and comparing data year to year. We're looking at that grade level. And so again, I think that's important context to have. But, we received full points. And, this is an area that we'll continue to work on. We're still targeting through special education through the work that was done through SPED strategies. but we did earn full performance compliance points within both reading MCAS and math MCAS. Again, one data point, and I know I talked about in a previous presentation this year the importance of growth, individual growth and overall growth. So I don't like to emphasize this too much, while it is a positive indicator for students with disabilities. Again, it's one data point to consider. The area where we did not receive the full 2 points was tied to a very specific indicator through the Aspen our student information system. And it's the percentage of preschool children with disabilities attending and receiving a majority of their special education and related services in a regular preschool setting. This was like a technicality due to coding, which I'll get to in a moment. This was a field set of a total of 12 students, which again impacts like our percentages and numbers when we're looking at like the state target compared to other districts. We do have students who would be eligible for walk-in services only. And so that's when they go for speech or for OT to a service provider's location. That's a specific SIM code, which then resulted in our numbers being not to full compliance because they're not in a full inclusion model or that integrated preschool model. So I think overall to not receive full compliance points for this one is a positive thing. And again, it just speaks to the current systems we have in place for the integrated preschool. Where we were originally flagged, but were technically over, was the percentage of youth no longer in secondary school. This indicator 14 or transition past high school. As you can see, we were above by 0.33 here from the state target. This was again like a coding when I met with the district representative, and I saw on the screen that this was different than what I had. And I asked the question too, like, how can we improve this? And something that I implemented last year is when students graduate from class of high school and they move on, at the end of that following year, so if students go to college at the end of their freshman year, we send out a survey for indicator 14 for them to complete, like, did you attend college? Did you have a full-time job? What was that post-secondary outcome like? So this is tied to those responses specifically, which is again why some of the data across the Commonwealth wasn't necessarily where the state standards wanted to be. But I've implemented the plan this year. All of the graduating seniors, they gave me their personal email addresses, so I can contact them to send that survey specifically to them. So it's not just their parents, which I think helps keep lines of communication open, and then also gets positive and accurate information back from our graduating seniors. So again, I just addressed this earlier. This is how the percentage or the indicator 6A is calculated. I think again we want to ensure that we're using the right coding within our system. And it wasn't that we were using the wrong coding. The number of students that receive that services only in the counselor's office is what really tipped the scales for those percentages and how that was calculated. But it's a helpful exercise, and Desi was very helpful to meet with me and review the findings, even though we're not required to go through the SPED strategy work yet. And then just looking ahead to the 26-27 school year, as I wrap things up and as we close up the final days here. I have just like 3 bullet points, and again, with the work that's been done, it would be to continue in strengthening the process and procedures that were found through integrated monitoring review, both for special education and for our English learner education program. As we complete the next steps in that process, which would be the corrective action plan and providing that evidence to DESE. I wanted to give a shout out to the 2 team chairs who are almost done with their first year. I know we still have a few weeks to go. They've been instrumental in the department's success overall. We thought when we think about the criteria for finding students eligible, the initial eligibility process, the reevaluation process, I couldn't have 2 more highly competent individuals sharing that, training the staff and helping families understand that process. And so again, last year at this time, I was excited to welcome them on board. So it's nice to have the second year here, really be able to thank them for their hard work to make the process successful. My vision moving forward, as discussed last year and really taking a step in the 3rd year here, would be to look at our current special education programming to really refine our programs that we have in place and to build out upon those. So that includes the STARS program, the Students Together Achieve Real Success at Osgood, the Intermediate Learning Center, both at Deer Hill and the middle school, our partial inclusion special education program, our language-based program, which involves specialized reading at the middle school, looking at how we can expand that to the lower levels, and looking at that specialized reading program that's currently taught by Carrie Foley. And as we think about what that alignment looks like and how we adapt to student needs in front of us, and then also continuing to build therapeutic supports in the Therapeutic Learning Center, currently at the middle school, looking at that continuation for students in the high school, and then also down to the Deer Hill and Osgood. And then thirdly, continuing to partner with CPAC. I know they're not here tonight. They might be on Zoom though.
They are. We have Sarah Davis and Stephanie Saunders on Zoom.
Perfect.
I didn't know if they wanted to be promoted to make a comment, but if you would like to, please just raise your hand. Either of you.
To continue work with them, and so I'm really we had some great workshops this year. I have to give a shout out at the most recent May meeting. It was probably one of my favorite CPAC meetings ever held. Five graduating seniors came and presented on their experience at Cohasset High School, high school, and then really all throughout, K through 12. And it was super valuable for them to share just like what supports worked for them, how that evolved their participation in special education process and IEP process. So again, we're looking to have more creative meetings like that moving forward this next year. So that was my update, but I'm not sure if CPAC wants to chime in with anything. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Monitoring the hands, but questions for the committee. Oh, we just got a Q&A.
In the chat.
Yep, I see it now. Sarah, if you want to make the comment, I'll promote you. All right, question for the committee?
Good job. I like the new chart.
It's good.
The 6A, the preschool, so I mean, you just put the math there. The math issue is just a function of how we're structured. It's not a performance indicator at all, really.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Great. All right. Thank you very much. Next up, CEF again is stepping up and providing. Yes.
It's actually a PSO. It was, so you tell me if you want to hold it till next time or this time. It's a PSO gift, not a CEF grant or CEF, so we can hold it till next time. If you want.
Unless there's objections, I don't really see a problem with accepting it for just procedural. However, I do think that one thing that was brought to my attention, I think valid, is that CEF kind of gives us like the big things and we make a lot of it. PSO fills in kind of the cracks and we don't really have a moment in time where we say, hey, this is what you've done for us for the whole. So maybe next meeting we can kind of do a recognition of everything that the PSO has done for the academic year.
Yep, they'll be coming, they'll be recognized next meeting anyway for another check in a different way. So yes, I think that makes sense.
Unless there's objections, we can just accept this and we can just paperwork reasons.
Motion to accept.
Okay, motion made. Do I have a second?
Second.
I'm giving it to Leslie. Clerk's give it to Leslie. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you to the PSO and everybody who's generous with our amazing district. Okay, the last thing, or a couple last things next is subcommittees and liaisons. We'll do assignments next, but anyone have any reports from their respective assignments before we start the reassignment process?
The collective bargaining committee has been mercifully quiet since the work is done.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Hopefully we have
people apprised.
Well, we also it'll be 4 years until we have to go through that process again, which is excellent. On the solar arrays for Osgood and Deer Hill, AEC is meeting regarding the RFPs that we received on Thursday, and then on Friday there'll be the small breakout group to take a look at them as well. So if anyone from the community wants to tune in, AEC is meeting tomorrow for the public presentation of the proposals that were sent to us. So, okay, with that, we shall move on to looking at our subcommittee assignments for the next year. Does everyone have the list of subcommittees in front of them handy? We can kind of chop this up however we feel like it. Obviously, the school committee is largely intact as it was last year. Mr. Squartrino, though, with his schedule, did not really was not as involved in some of these things. So I don't know how we want to go through this. Is there any structure that Mr. McClellan that you've used in the past that's really effective, or Ms. Saidi, you want to just suggest things that you'd like to do as the newest member? We can then fill in. Okay.
Put a little pressure on me. No, it's fine. It's nice.
Things are fun.
No, I mean.
One point of organization, we did separate out collective bargaining in the school governance subcommittee. I don't know that we need to do that, or because that one should be quiet. So maybe we collapse those into one subcommittee again.
I would just sunset collective bargaining.
It's a function under school governance.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, then fine. Okay.
Because if something comes up and there needs to be like a,
Yeah.
what do they call it, MOUs or something,
Oh, yeah.
then that subcommittee might be
Impact
involved in that,
bargaining.
or impact bargaining. But then that, you could do it just as the full school governance subcommittee.
Okay, let's start at the top level here for the subcommittees, the big four, the big three, and go from there. So for school governance, we'll collapse them. I have two volunteers for the school governance subcommittee?
I'll do.
Ms. McClellan?
I'm happy to do it.
Okay, any objections? Okay, so Ms. McClellan and Mr. Dial will be the school governance subcommittee for 26-27. Budget and resources, obviously I would like to continue on that unless there's objections to that, and we'll take anybody else who'd like to join me.
Sure.
Okay, let's go.
That'll be a big one.
That's gonna be a full committee effort. Communications, Ms. Leslie.
I'm happy to stay there.
Yeah.
That's okay
Okay.
with the rest of the committee.
I'm happy to continue as well, but if anyone else would like to jump on the communications sub.
Can you explain it? Can you explain something to me? What is communications?
Apologies, right, we're just kind of jumping into it.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, so communications for this subcommittee, and some things we worked on was it's really it's mainly how the school committee communicates,
Yep.
How we send out messages, how we organize ourselves, those sorts of things. There is a little bit of discussing how we can improve the district's communications. That's kind of a secondary, more of a steering kind of role. But there are a couple things that we identified this year already that we've tried to work on. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff that we digest in this room, and it's hard to. I think the challenge is always going to be how do we give that into a digestible format for everyone out there.
So one example of that is the communications subcommittee a few years ago spearheaded a full review of the website.
Yeah.
So it's really thinking about how the committee in particular relates to the community. How do we get out, not, the committee's work, but also the schools.
Yeah.
It's really that purpose. Like I'm going with a brochure.
It may
Right.
even be helpful for one person on this subcommittee to be on the district communication committee.
Sure. I love communications with Jen.
Was it you?
Yes, I will be replaced. I just, I'm trying
Just
to
kidding.
encourage
I
everybody.
am kidding.
Okay, so let's move on to liaison assignments for school councils. Any requests for changes to this list?
I have a hard time making the high school, to make a high school or middle school because I have less flexibility in my own employment.
Yeah.
So I could move to a Osgood or Deer Hill, which dismiss later, and I could more likely make their after school meetings. It's hard for me to get here by 3:00 for the meetings that the high school and middle school have for their
Jen, do you want to take Deer Hill from me and then I'll just do the high school?
if you're okay with that.
I didn't realize that I was with you on the high school.
I didn't either because I never saw you there.
Yeah. Why didn't see me there? So.
I never
don't-
saw your name on there.
Oh, that's good.
So
I will no longer have a middle schooler in the coming year, so maybe you will probably have a middle school.
I'm happy to do middle school.
Do you want to switch and I'll do high school and you do middle school?
Sure.
Who's taking Deer Hill?
Jen.
Jen. Chris is less.
I like the third person who's there.
sorry.
Ms. Leslie, do you have a Deer Hiller at the moment?
I do not have a Deer Hiller, so
I wouldn't mind jumping to Deer Hill. I have a Deer Hiller and an Osgood, so I'm good either place. But
Okay.
unless you have a strong,
I have no strong preference.
Okay.
You choose where you would like to be as a non-parent of an Osgood or a Deer Hiller.
I would love to have a year on Deer Hill.
Okay,
If that's
great.
okay with you.
I will move down to
Okay.
Osgood.
Osgood's the happiest place in the district. So sweet.
I am happy to be back with that age group.
Ms. Sadie?
Do you need me somewhere? Where do you need me?
Would you look at?
I'm gonna be,
Anywhere you want.
I
after
can,
school.
oh wait a minute, who's in high school? You?
I am.
Lance?
Yep.
Who's on middle school?
Greg.
Craig. So do you want to join Lance on high school?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was the parent one, so now I'll move over to.
Yeah, correct, exactly.
That'll be great because my attendance has also been sporadic.
Well, 310, so hard.
All right, wonderful. PSO, liaison, Ms. McClellan.
Yeah, I like it.
Okay. I'm willing to continue on to elder affairs unless there's a challenger to the elder affairs throne. Okay, we'll continue on that. CPAC.
That's the one I really want us to keep. I don't want to leave it. I like that
You
one.
want to keep it? Okay, I heard escape. Okay.
Look at that.
No, I want to be on it more than any other. It's important to me.
Legislative liaison. I will.
You are a great legislative liaison.
Just there's so much liaison.
Yes.
Describe. Okay, I'll continue on that. CEF.
I'd be happy to stay there.
Okay.
Do you know you see it?
No, I'm.
Yeah, that's why I was trying to. I'm gonna toss some stuff at you.
Oh, yeah.
Emergency management.
I'm happy to continue there. Provided there's no emergencies.
Or anything to manage.
Why just emergency to manage other things.
Well, we're supposed to connect with emergency management and police and fire.
Oh, yeah.
So
You want to stay on with?
I will stay on. Yeah. I'm sorry.
I'm just the only one that doesn't have like regular meetings, which is interesting.
Really, any means. PEB also has not.
No.
I have not met with anybody on PEB.
I don't think PEB has met in the entire history that I've been on the school committee.
Well, but like, we have a whole committee for PEB,
The
and
whole committee.
there's nothing we can do about PEB. PEB is PEB. So,
Yeah.
and it doesn't
But
come out of our.
we've never had a liaison report from.
Okay, I will re-engage on.
Are you
whatever-
saying that Corey doesn't?
I'm saying no one in the history of the school committee has ever done anything for the
There's
PEB
no-
liaison.
Because of what Christopher just said.
Yeah, there's no.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, the
There's-
structure is not really much. That we
Well, this is not the time to do it with Mr. McClellan's concern and timing, but.
Yeah.
Some of these liaisons, I don't know if they're
We're
required.
going to bring up
That's
PEB.
on that issue.
We could do a 45-minute PEB update if you'd like.
But some of these may not be the right liaison assignments anymore. These
Maybe no longer be relevant.
Yes.
I agree.
Correct. Well, so we'll take our assignments and we'll see if they're relevant, and then we'll come back to the committee with our recommendations if they're still useful. AEC, I will continue on that if that's okay with everybody. Long range planning.
I'm happy to continue on that, but I think that, I don't know if that has
It doesn't
existed.
exist
I don't think it exists. Oh, well, there were two. There was like, I don't know if it exists.
I think it's now going to be morphed into the override process that they're trying to build out for next meeting.
Do you know if the long range?
There is no, well, no, there's no, no, we will have to appoint representatives to the override committee so that they will be functioned, but for purposes of this, no. But
Motion to
that's,
strike that.
Yeah, let's strike long-term planning. Which we don't.
accept that as we're not doing this. I don't think we need to vote on it. Diversity,
I can stay there.
wellness,
I can just replace Jacob.
all right. Select board. The chair already like liaises with the select board, so
Right.
it kind of
Writes itself.
kind of is what it is. Okay.
Yep.
All right. And then safe harbor.
You may want steering committee, so.
Correct.
it's easy.
Yeah. I have to
I mean,
sort that out
you
myself.
and I.
Yeah, we're the half of safe harbor. Yeah. Okay. If
So can I read back my notes?
please,
And then that can form the basis of the motion if people agree.
since you're the secretary.
So what I have is we will have a school governance subcommittee with collective bargaining policy standards and superintendent evals the functions. That will be Craig McClellan and myself, Lance Dial. We'll have budget and resources subcommittee with Evans and Ms. Zaidi, with functions listed there. We'll have a communications subcommittee with Ms. Leskey, Ms. Zaidi, and that will be our subcommittees. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Representative and liaison assignments. I have school councils. For Osgood, we have Ms. Leskey.
Mhm.
For Deer Hill, Mr. Evans.
Mhm.
For middle school, Mr. McClellan.
Mhm.
For high school, Mr. Dial, Mrs. Zaidi.
Mhm.
PSO, Mr. McClellan.
Mhm.
Elder Affairs, Mr. Evans.
Mhm.
CPAC, Mr. McClellan.
Mhm.
Legislative Liaison, Mr. Evans. CEF, Ms. Leskey. Emergency Management is Mr. Dial, Mr. Evans. PEB, Mr. Evans. AEC, Mr. Evans. Long Range Planning will no longer be. Diversity is Ms. Leskey. Wellness will be Ms. Sadie. Select Board, Mr. Evans. Safe Harbor, Mr. McCollum.
Do I have a motion to adopt the slate as read? Do I have a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, meeting dates 26, 27. Have we all had a chance to look at our future?
I have one comment that I know I will not be able to make the March 17th meeting. And it's possible, it looks like we might be able to move that to the 24th, but I don't feel like the committee needs to move a meeting for me, but I would just throw that out there because I know that I will have a conflict that day.
March 17th.
March 17th.
We were back to back on 24th and the 3rd.
Well, the March 24th would be a meeting, but then the 31st would not be, and the 7th would be.
Correct, yeah.
Do the 10th and the 24th.
That's what I was thinking.
Oh, yeah, because we got the back and the back to back 24th.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah.
That's
So we'll
that's
do
even
the
better.
10th and the,
And then we're, yeah, because then we're back on
Yeah.
semi-weekly.
And then we're finishing our June calendar for this year, nothing in July, and then we can
So-
meet in August.
so yes and no.
Okay,
So we will have to have a joint meeting in July with the select board to have you vote to appropriate funds for the school facility stabilization fund. So we need to find a date for that. And then, one very new thing that just came up is at the next meeting, Michael Stapleton is gonna present a new policy that we have to put in place with regard to restraint that is coming down from the state. So we may have to have a one item agenda in July to do a second read and a vote for that.
Those would both be special meetings.
They
right?
would
So we
be,
could just
they would be
schedule
special
them
meetings,
offline.
but
Yeah,
so
we can-
no other meetings in July.
So it's a joint, I'll have to reread the policy because we have to present use of the fund for the next year, right? I think for the documentation, it's not just a joint meeting, we have to actually give the select board something. So I'm wondering, do we actually have to be there, or if one of us can just represent to the select board what we are going to use the fund for in the next year?
So I don't know that we didn't present what we were gonna use the fund for in the past when we voted that I
I'll
can
look at it.
recall.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't think we did either.
We just
Okay.
voted. And
We-
then they voted.
Did we do it at a, yeah, we did do it at a joint meeting.
yeah, correct, we can just be fair,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
And then last year we had two meetings in August. The first meeting was very, very light. So we wanted to trial doing just one meeting.
I have no objection to that. Unless you feel like you could use the committee's support in early August.
To our practice,
Okay.
okay.
Well, we're always here.
So Jen, did that answer the question?
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, so we should adopt this formally. No, we don't have a vote on this, so we'll just.
Because we're gonna, it was first and then we'll change those dates.
Got it.
And I'll bring back at the next meeting, finalized calendar with the corrected March dates, and then you can vote.
Oh, we don't have it marked. Do we have, we don't have it marked for vote? Because I'd be comfortable voting on this now. This is school committee governance. This isn't a matter of public import.
I don't feel strongly about it either way.
Motion approved.
Motion made, second, all those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Abstentions, motion carries 5-0 for the calendar as presented with the change in the March dates. Well done. There's nothing that I have unreasonably not anticipated or reasonably unanticipated, so I will take a motion to adjourn. Second?
Second.
All those in favor? All those opposed? Abstentions.
I'm done hanging out with you guys.
Motion is adjourned at 8:20. Thank you, everybody.